Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Yasin and today we're gonna talk about Guitar Summit 2024. I will go through my experiences, anything I've seen and anything actually I've played in that 3 days. It's a massive experience. There are over 3,000, maybe even more guitars there, over 200 brands and luthiers and so on. There were a lot of clinics. I attended a masterclass and I organized all the material that I have, which is not so much if you think about it. If you're a vlogger, you would definitely have even more than this one. But I'll be looking at the screen. I organized everything for you, and probably I'm gonna put that here, around the screen. I'm gonna show everything to you as I'm talking. And it's gonna be kind of an authentic video because it's kind of impossible to explain everything with a script that will be probably 2-3 pages. I really don't like that. Instead, I will just do my best to be as authentic as possible. And it's gonna be something like a Conor Kaminsky plus Rick Beato kind of video. I will be just talking and explaining everything like Rick does all the time, but at the same time, like a mixed rundown, I will constantly looking at the screen, so there will be less eye contact. But don't get me wrong, it's not because I don't want to look at the camera and you, it's because I need to remember all the details. So if you're ready, let's begin. So the first one is clinics, and in the clinics there are normally product promotion kind of explanation and stuff, but at the same time the artists that I saw actually coming up with demos, songs, improvisations, they answer questions, all the people in there, all the guitarists, all whatever they play, all the musicians, they're really good. They're really humble and you can easily talk to them and you can ask all the questions and they are happy to answer. It's like really talking to a friend, but there are so many people while you are asking, so it's also a little bit kind of scary. Anyway, the first clinic that I want to talk about is Buster Odeholm's, because this is not alphabetic, by the way, because it's basically the first one in the folder. Anyway, so Buster has presented his Hapas Guitars, and Hapas Guitars, I tried it, we're gonna talk about it. His signature was kind of a little bit different than the other ones because his distinctive style and his choices. And Buster, as a person, as an engineer, is doing all the crazy moves and coming up with all the cool stuff. And clinic was a little bit different because normally as a guitar player you have a certain guitar, you're playing it basically, and other people at least can understand it's a standard tuning or whatever tuning, and this song is played. Actually, if you know the songs, which I knew a couple, that's okay, but when you look at that person playing the guitar, it's kind of easy to understand normally, but in his case it's kind of different because he came up with the setup which has this MIDI controlled Digitech whammy, and he's just using the session in the MacBook, and it's kind of obvious why he's doing it, but he also explained it in the clinic. It's because of his distinctive songwriting. It's very unique. Don't get me wrong, it's beautiful. He is coming up with chugs and notes, and he's putting in different places in the DAW, and he's transposing as he likes, and he's coming up with riffs and songs. So it's a bit hard to understand because you're constantly chugging. It's the same note, you would assume, but it's constantly changing. The guitar he was using, the signature guitar, was in drop E, and he was constantly changing the tuning for the whammy. And the performance amazing. It was amazing. and the whole sound was completely, it literally destroyed the whole. And he was also a really nice guy. He talked, we talked about songwriting, what he's doing to get this low tone clearly, how he's mixing the guitars is really, is a bass really important here, since the guitar is extremely low, and he has been with really good, he was really nice, and the answers were really actually satisfying. And after Buster, we have Jack Gardiner here, and let me open his, okay. And what Jack does, what he actually promoted was NanoCortex and Quad Cortex. He couldn't show the NanoCortex because I think there was a problem on a cable that goes to the front of the house. I'm not quite sure, we just couldn't actually listen from at least Jack Gardiner to NanoCortex, but he talked about how he is using NanoCortex and how he's using the Quad Cortex, basically. And he showed us tones that are amazing, and he also talked about how he's putting those, banks, how he's actually utilizing the banks by adding and changing the gains. And he does not need a lot of different gear for his tone, but the preset that he has had an amazing tone as a starter, and by increasing gain, by going, changing the banks, and of course the whole setting and automation throughout the presets, he actually came up with amazing tones, and he showed us how he's using it. And Jack Gardiner is an amazing player, and I actually have his couple of courses. I am doing my best, but kind of failing, to learn the music theory throughout his explanations and his guidance through his courses, basically. And I think it was a great experience to see him live, because it showed us, it's it's really the player, doing this whole thing. So the next one is Matteo Mancuso. He's an amazing player, not just a rising star, is, kind of star now already. All the people were talking about him in the, not just in the clinic, but, throughout the summit. And he came up with really amazing stuff. In the clinic, he talked about, his finger picking approach, and how basically he developed a certain style, and he's using the theory in a different way. And he talked about that. And seeing him live, I saw him live already before, but, every single time it's just, kind of surprising how good he is, and with that technique, how it's possible. In the clinic, there was something weird happened, and someone asked a question. I think there's another fingerstyle player that I actually don't know, and he talked about a certain pattern that guitarist is applying for 16th notes shredding, and Matteo is normally using the, a different pattern. And he said, yeah, okay, let me try that. And he just did it. And he said, it works. Wow. He just did it, and he said, yeah, it works. Yeah. Thank you so much for, coming with that pattern. I didn't actually think about it that much, but it was amazing. And I don't even know what to say, because he is, maybe it's a wrong thing to say, but he's so young. And I'm thinking about, myself and my history. Of course, no one should compare themselves with other guitarists, but still, without, I couldn't stop myself thinking about it. But at the same time, understanding how he does what he does, it actually, opened my eyes a little. So we have two Nollys here. The first Nolly is the guitar Nolly. He has a signature from Manson Guitar Works, and it's an amazing signature. I'm going to talk about it later. And he was there to explain that, but actually he also talked a little bit about this NanoCortex thing, and I want to talk about it a little bit. By the way, he played the demos since he is not planning. He's not planning, guys, to, you know, make EP, a album, single, whatever. He doesn't want that, especially as a guitar player, because he said, you know, guitar has a different role, and at the moment I don't want to, you know, use that role to express myself. And for that reason, I'm not planning to come up with, you know, an album or an EP soon. So we said, okay, and we asked different questions. Some guys talked about the plugin and tonal stuff, and NanoCortex came up. He is actually using the archetype Nolly captures, and the whole tones that we saw from the demos actually came from the NanoCortex with his archetype Nolly captures. It was actually amazing to think about it, because having those plugin captures actually a really good thing. Because when I think about it for the first time, this, you know, the whole NanoCortex thing, I was kind of skeptical about, you know, they are using those, they are, you know, now supporting those plugins in the Quad Cortex. It would be really nice to have them, and now it's possible, and I saw it, and it actually felt great. And I also tried NanoCortex, so we're gonna talk about that as well. Anyway, and he also played a periphery tune, and it was great, you know, Nolly playing periphery. It's kind of, you know, seeing that was, you know, that was amazing. Oh, okay. By the way, he played prayer position. I forgot to say that. And the funny thing comes with the next directory, which is Nolly bass. So the first one was Manson Guitar Works, and now he has, you know, Nolly has a lot of signature stuff. Even, you know, in the channel, I have this demo where I use all the Nolly products, kind of possible. I didn't have, of course, a Manson guitar or a real dingwall, but I used everything else from Nolly, like archetype Nolly and Nolly bass. I also used P5, which, you know, he actually, you know, recorded all the samples and processed them. And it was kind of amazing to, you know, see Nolly this many times, because this one it's dingwall, and he again played prayer position, but this time it was on a bass. He's kind of, I'm not gonna say his real instrument, because he's actually a guitar player, and he played the bass, you know, much after than that. But still, I mean, considering periphery, it's his main thing, and it was really good. And again, since he's doing everything, basically, he's doing mixing, he's doing mastering, he's a guitar player, you know, amazing guitar player, actually kind of a best among periphery, which is coming from the periphery guys. I'm not saying that. And he's also a great bassist. He has the, you know, most listened, watched bass cover in YouTube, which is a periphery cover, which is prayer position again. And it was kind of funny. And since he has so many things like this, they, including me, we asked about mixing and mastering. And actually Buster was also in the clinic, so it was kind of weird, you know, you're asking a question, but I was also checking Buster if he's gonna care about the question, which, I mean, I asked him later. I asked him later anyway, but anyway. And it was a great experience again, seeing him again, you know, playing the bass. And I asked the question, I got my answer, and it was great. That was actually the first clinic that I was, you know, kind of checking. I think this one was it? Yeah, it's one. It was on Friday. Yeah. Anyway, let's continue. Since this is a non-scripted video, I don't want to, make you guys wait too much. Anyway, the first ever one was Tom Quayle and Martin Miller. And after that I checked Nolly Bass. Anyway, Tom Quayle and Martin Miller were talking about their pedal amps, which have 60 watts power, and you can do anything you want. And basically they played a lot of stuff. I mean, not a lot of stuff, but they played a lot of notes. They played a Michael Jackson tune and improvised over it. It was great. And they were, without touching, changing, or MIDI controlling, they were actually coming up with really edit breakup tones, and they were going back to a very clean setting. It was actually really great. I didn't check the original product, but still, I think, you know, it was kind of a product that I wasn't, you know, I wouldn't be interested in. So I just, you know, I was here for them. And I also checked, you know, kind of checked how it sounds through their playing, and it was amazing. And there was not, you know, there were not any questions. Instead, we kind of rather listened to them. And the last one from the clinics, the last one, is Jakub Zytecki. I say Zytecki, but I know it's wrong. But I'm gonna say Jakub. And I'm bad with pronunciations, so sorry. Jakub's clinic, to me, was the best one. He played one tune, he played it amazingly, he was very humble. He said, you know, I took some notes. There are some questions that are asked to me before, and through that, you know, through that experience, I came up with this list of topics that may be interesting to you. And please, if you have questions, please ask them, or if you want me to play something, I'm going to play something. And interesting thing, we asked so many questions. I asked so many questions that he had only one song time in a clinic, and I asked a lot of stuff about songwriting and sampling, guitar playing, active listening, and so on, because he has this very distinctive style. It's not just guitar music, it's really music, which has guitar elements in it, and he's actually an amazing player, but he's not, you know, he's not there to show it, basically. It's kind of an amazing experience to me, you know, knowing that. So after he, you know, played the tune, I, you know, went to him, asked a couple more questions, got a photo, which we're gonna talk about later. And that was all for the clinics. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 clinics. Considering Nolly, it's gonna be 6 clinics. Kind of 2, but 2 from Nolly kind of merged. And this actually wraps the clinic part. The next one is Nolly and Kohle Masterclass. Adam Nolly GetGood and Kristian Kohle. And it's about heavy tone and how you basically achieve that. We talked a lot of stuff. I will give a very important detail here, but I'm not going to talk about every single thing because I don't want to jinx the whole experience. And I also think that I'm the one who was attending the masterclass and asking the questions. It wouldn't be fair if I give all everything right away. Instead of that, I'm thinking doing all the experimentations about what I learned, and I want to include these into my music, basically my demos and everything. And if you think what I'm doing is good, you know, production, mixing, guitar playing, songwriting, you can just get lessons from me and we can talk about it in detail. But I will only give you a very important detail that I learned. And I have my iPad with me because, you know, at least I want to give you a couple of summary, you know, a summary with a couple of details, basically. So I'm gonna read from here, at least check from here. So we have a very important part here, which is, what is chug actually? Chug is a very important thing of this, metal and heavy tone and modern metal things. And we basically talked about chug and what makes chug chug. What is CH, what is UG, what is chug, basically. Saying something like that in front of a camera, weird. Anyway, so there are a lot of parameters, and the most important one that we actually talked about was the pick and how you actually play it as a player. Because when you chug, there are a lot of elements, of course, incorporating to that sound. And it starts with you as a player, how hard you are hitting. It continues with the pick, how thin or thick it is, what kind of edges it has, what is the material, what is the thickness, and so on, and what kind of guitar you are actually playing. And we talked about the bridge, we talked about the deviation, we talked about the tuning pegs, headstock shape, pickups, impedance, how the tone changes with different impedance values, why the eye box is important, what kind of reamping techniques we could use, and so on. And we start with the pick here, and we talk about how to do the chug. And to understand the quality of your playing or your recordings, instead of the tone, you can actually start analyzing DI, which is a small tip that I will just review right away. And I will continue to check other notes. We talked about buzzing and how it actually affects your chug and your hits. We talked about how tube screamer works and why we have it kind of everywhere. And we continued with Nolly's best picks. He is top 3 at the moment, which may kind of change because his favorite cab constantly changes. Not the cab, but favorite speaker is always the same, but there's so many of it. So when he's getting an IR, says that's the best one. He has this speaker that he's experimenting, that's the best one. It was kind of another joke. It's actually asked in the clinic because someone was apparently doing some recording in the Middle Farm studios, and he saw a V30 with a tag Nolly's favorite speaker, and he asked about that, and Nolly said, everything I experiment on, I check. I just put that label everywhere. Just don't think about it too much. Anyway, I'm continuing. We talked about muting and what kind of muting creates what kind of sound. And that was also a very important thing that I didn't actually think about too much. And of course, we talked about the bridge. I just mentioned that. And we labeled the amp and preamp and certain pedals and saturation and cap with different information. Like, if you have a problem about this, you have to do this. You have a problem about your amp type, you can change A to B or whatever. And I got some notes about that, and we talk about IR versus having that cab and miking and the whole room setting. What is the difference? And Kristian said that he is not listening the original thing, the whole cab and miking. Is actually just, doing the miking, going to the control room and checking through the, mic input. Yeah. Instead of actually, listening, being in the studio, plug and play. He's just doing all the setting and plays from the control room, because there's a certain differences. AR is kind of perfected in a way that he wants to hear just that. So I continue. We started actually talking about, real deal recording, and we talk about the tones, and we started from cab and we change to different amps, and after that we talk about stereo tracking versus quad tracking, and when you are doing quad tracking, what kind of tone you should kind of create and how you can understand what you should do. And of course we used plugins at first, then we made some reamping. It was pretty interesting actually. I never had amps, so it was kind of interesting to me. Then Nolly actually in real time recorded something, and we get that sound, we recorded that into the AW, and we talked about recording a little bit more. And I'm checking my notes if I missed anything. Single miking and double miking on the cabs, and how we should do the AB to understand what's going on. We talked about doublers. We talked about techniques to get extra presence and different sounds, and how Nolly tracks, which was very interesting and very important to me, because he wants to record like robot. Weird pronunciation. So yeah, that was kind of it. It was a lot of, there was a lot of details that we talked about, and the most important thing. So they said, it was also mentioned in the clinic, so I can just, give you that very important information. They talked about kick-ass metal playlist from Spotify, and this top 100 metal kind of, the second playlist that was a little bit diverse. And they talked about how guitar tones sound similar, how everything is going into one direction in terms of tone, in terms of band sound, in terms of song structures, and so on. And in terms of song structure, it's kind of popularized like Hollywood songwriting, kind of systematic, kind of applied. And for guitar tones, Nolly said that we recorded the last, he, of course, with another band. He actually mentioned that, he talked about that in one of those YouTube videos, but it's gonna be here somewhere. Anyway, he talked about that there was a converted bar as a studio, as a recording room, and we recorded there, and we came up with very different stuff, very unique things. And I think it's important. He said that he thinks that it's kind of important to come up with this authentic guitar tone. He also mentioned that 20 years ago, the tone that people had, it basically sucked. And right now, a lot of people have a lot of options, and they're going for the same tone, same presets. They are not, they're not doing adventurous stuff. And with the plugins, people understand that instead of amp, cabs are more important for the final tone, because that's the final EQ they're actually applying. And it was kind of eye-opening, and I also tried to do that. I was also kind of a preset follower person. I was tweaking it, of course, to my taste, to the how it's gonna match to the song, to the demo. But I think I should be a little bit more adventurous, and sometimes even a tone that sucks in a matching song, matching demo will be more interesting than listening the next kick-ass metal song. I kind of agree to that point, but of course I actually haven't checked the list yet. I'm just talking. Maybe there are at least 15-20 songs that I really like from there. And one more thing about this topic, they said that old times, like 15, 20, 30 years ago, people really needed a budget to be in the studio and do some experimentation. And now people, send to, Nolly, Kristian, or any other engineer, yeah, here's the MIDI for the bass or for the drums. This is the DI. Do a really nice reamping, do a really nice, find a really nice combination, a Franken kit, and, make that happen. And what's your price? I mean, this kind of talks lead to a certain sound. Every engineer has their own working style, favorites for certain situations. And Kristian says, he said that, there are certain tone that I really like. He was talking about the drums. He was talking about certain symbols that he really likes, and he always goes for those because he really likes the sound of it. And from that engineer, from engineer A, you will get the sound A. From engineer B, you will get the sound B. But as a band, if you make decisions, if you make those final decisions, and if you don't go back from there, and if you try to add some nuances in the production rather than the first tone stage, if you make that final decision, you will be a little bit happier, definitely much more authentic, and it's gonna be you. If you send the drums, and if drums is chosen for you because it's best for your music, but how certain people, certain stranger, even though they're very professional, how they will understand the vision that you have. So that was really eye-opening experience for me. And I'm giving you this. Please think about it. Please, put your comment, your idea, what you're thinking about it. Put that in the comment section. Let's talk about it a little bit. And maybe we can come up with very interesting ideas together. So that was about the masterclass. Of course, I didn't give you too much stuff to think about from the masterclass, but at least I give you very important hints and topics that you should maybe experiment by yourself. The third section of Guitar Summit 2024 is gear. I, as a gent guy, prog guy, whatever you can, modern metal guy basically, I visited certain booths, and of course I didn't visit the other 250 booths because probably you realize that I was in the clinics and I had a masterclass, so I didn't have too much time to go visit every single booth. I didn't see most of the goodies that people just, took. But instead, I had a lot of eye-opening experience. And I will talk about like 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, it's kind of something like 12, 30 thing that I will talk about. Of course, you're going to see that in the screen. I'm going to put some photos, and of course, you will also hear my keyboard like this. So yeah, let's start. So the first one is Aristides. Last year I tested Aristides like 10 minutes and I talk about really nice stuff. This year I went in depth about their production of those guitars and bass, and we had a really nice discussion. I also checked the multi-scale Evertune. Sorry, we talked about it and it was actually pretty great. And I tested a couple of guitars. There was a 8-string, a 7-string Mike Stringer style guitar, and there was also a crystal, I think. I don't know the name of the whole finish, but it was crystal based blue beautiful guitar. Everything was kind of raw. Satin, I can maybe say satin here. And the other one was completely high gloss. And I then, after that, tried another guitar, which was kind of the same setting. It was also headless. And on the back, they made it kind of satin on the neck. But to my experience, the fully raw guitar with kind of one fade or one what it's called, one color basically, is much better. And let's talk about this black 8-string. It was basically roaring. I really liked the tone out of it, and I think this one had the best neck. The other ones were also, you know, really comfortable. I'm talking about the raw ones, the satin ones. They were very nice to access everywhere. But this one, despite, you know, being an 8-string, was the most comfortable for me to play. I have never ever played an 8-string which had this thinner, kind of thinner compared to other companies, brands, or guitars that I played, neck. And I was just like playing a 6-string guitar, and it was kind of interesting for me to, you know, have that experience. And I was kind of thinking about getting a 8-string, not that expensive, but still it kind of, you know, stole my ideas. I checked the blue, again crystallized, with bare knuckle polymers, which sound amazing, 6-string, and it was also great. It had this, I forget the name, I forget which brand of bridge was that, because it was two-way. It was, you know, very easy to work with, and overall I really like the guitar. But I think after playing satin instruments like my Pliny and the Holcomb 7-string, I want only satin guitars, because satin finishes are amazing, basically amazing. There's, I think, nothing better than that because it's really easy, it's not sticky, it's amazing. And this guitar was great as well. And that blue one, which kind of a mic stringer setup, it was actually great. It had this split back sole in it, you know, saying that is kind of stupid, but at the same time I really felt it. It was originally in the standard tuning, I mean not standard, actually it's standard for 7-string. And when I played, it was really comfortable, not as comfortable as the 8 one, I don't know, but 8-string was the best for me. But that 7-string was actually pretty great, and multi-scale Evertune is a game changer. I mean, if I had infinite budget, I would definitely get at least 10 of those, because for studios, Evertune kinda great, basically amazing. Nolly had a certain note about Evertune, what is that? Sorry, Evertune bridges and recording with that. There is kind of a downside. He talked about that, but it's later. And I think that's about it with Aristides. I mean, they're the best in the Guitar Summit. They were the best, you know, absolute best as a company, not as a, you know, single luthier, but as a company who are making at least somewhat, you know, custom guitars. Aristides was the winner of Guitar Summit to me, just, you know, for me, my experience. The next one is Aviator Guitars. Kind of a luck that I was actually kind of living in the same auto with the luthier, and they were, you know, young gentlemen who are, you know, having the best fun, and they're also making these great instruments. And I actually played only one of them, the natural looking 8-string. I forgot the pickups. I think it was Lundgren. I'm not quite sure. I think it may be, you know, kind of something else, but it felt really good. Not as comfortable as the Aristides, but, you know, comparing different guitars and different ideas here, maybe it doesn't make too much sense. But since they're both 8-string guitars, which would, I mean, they both look cool and they were really nice, they were comfortable, but I would definitely pick Aristides. But on this topic, I can really say that this Aviator had this caveman chugging tone, which made me very happy when I was playing it. And the next one here is kind of dear and special to me. Luca Battistoni, VHI Guitars, and he's an amazing guy. And I really like how he talks about his guitars. He is really passionate about what he does. That's kind of obvious. And I revisited actually the previous year's guitar. It was my favorite from last year actually. This is a Cassiopeia. I didn't memorize every single guitar model and body model, but I really remember this one. This is Cassiopeia 7-string, which has amazing things basically on it. It's bare knuckle polymats, wenge neck, if I remember correctly, or just wenge fretboard. And the color palette is amazing. T4M, technology for musicians, bridge. He also installed tremolo. It wasn't there last year, but it was here last year. After we talk about, probably he said, I should put it there, and he actually did. He listens, people, and he's an amazing luthier, and this guitar was really, really, really good. And I'm kind of sure that he had the best booth, because there was both a fractal and a Kemper, so you can just do whatever you want. And there's another guitar, this one. This guitar was the best drop C, best 6-string metal guitar in the whole Guitar Summit. I'm not even joking. Luca knows, I know. I think you should, if you have the budget, if you have the money, and if you're looking for a 6-string and to play in lower tunings, I mean not as low as, I don't know, drop B, and even lower, it can handle if you have this high gauge, but I don't do it too much. I consider different kind of setups and multi-scale, but this one had the best tone on every single combination, especially on the clean middle split tone. I cannot describe that tone. It was so good. And on the metal, of course, I immediately became Oli Steel. I don't know why, but in that drop C guitar, which Oli also plays drop C, so kind of interesting thing that I mentioned that. But this guitar, how it sounds on a metal tone, high gain. I'm not quite sure what I loaded. I think it was a 5150 with a Mesa cap. I'm not quite sure on that, but the roar that I experienced, it was amazing. I was too focused in the photos, but yeah, that's another thing. And this one, the 7-string with a really nice, I'm not quite sure it's fade or whatever it's called. In the middle it's kind of red, and going outer it has this green and blue tones. It's a true RGB guitar. And at the previous one, by the way, the 6-string had Aftermath, I think, but this one I forgot. It's another bare knuckle, beautiful, amazing roaring sound, amazing attack, mid-pointed, but I really forgot which pickup was that. So sorry, Luca, I don't have all the details. I forgot to write that. But it was also great. But 6-string was the best one, at least for me. So this year's best guitar for 6-string goes to PHI. And let's continue. The next one is Hapas. So I was kind of interested in two guitars. I was interested in two guitars with Hapas. The first one was Alex Winter, Signature Magician. And, he's my pal, and I was kind of interested to get the experience of playing his guitar. Of course, he lives far away from me, so it's not ideal for me to get it. But I played it. It wasn't the Evertune model, but it was pretty great. And considering the how can I say that? Considering a 27-inch caveman chug guitar, I was pretty comfortable playing leads on it, which was kind of interesting to me. And I mean, that's me. Maybe you're constantly playing leads on 27-inch guitars, but I don't. So it was kind of interesting to me. And Hapas had actually the best, one of the best guitars. Really, one of the best companies, considering the Guitar Summit booths here. The wood choices are amazing. Of course, you know, I'm a metal guy. Of course, I'm gonna like Hapas guitars, but even considering that bias, you know, kind of out, it was great. And there was this 8-string Hapas, which is a headless. I've never seen a Hapas headless before. I mean, it's probably about me, sorry. But it was great. It was very comfortable. It was easy to reach, again, with the leads and stuff. But, by the way, all these Hapas guitars were kind of, you know, considering their features, comfortability, they were actually in the price range for that kind of setup. There are a lot of custom guitars that they're not offering same amount of comfortability, at least to me, you know, in that budget. But it was great. I really liked it. Oh, I didn't talk about the buzzer. Yeah, this one. I should, of course, stop the video so I can talk. I tried the Buster Odeholm signature, which of course have normal strings, not reversed. And I'm also playing kind of normally. Sorry, Buster. And it was actually amazing. It was on, again, probably drop E. That actually probably drop E. I'm not quite sure. Maybe not. But the amount of craftsmanship, the overtune, the tones that I got, the roaring sound was kind of mind-blowing. I definitely understand, you know, all the hype, you know, everything basically about Hapas guitars, and they're actually great. I really like them. Probably I forgot to take photos. You're gonna see the videos around here. The next one is kind of a short one, not a scale joke, by the way. It's Legator Guitars. I only tried one. We didn't have too much time for this. It was great though. And every single guitar had this Fishman setup with kill switch, and they were pretty great. I mean, they talk about these old Legators. They have some craftsmanship problems, the materials, especially the frets and the neck work. But the one I played was actually great. And considering the price, I think Legator could be the best, you know, price feature, kind of the best price feature option available in the market. Kind of hard thing to say. And before going to the next one, I want to talk about one thing. Most of the setups in the booths were kind of okay. There are some companies that provided not good opportunities in terms of modeling. I hope that they are going to fix it, because, you know, in this Guitar Summit we don't have amps that, you know, roaring loud noises. We have modeling opportunities with headphones. That's why Guitar Summit was, aside talking and human noises, it was pretty silent, and I really like that. I am hoping that every single company and booth will have this even cheaper modeling options to provide a nice setup for next year. I will talk about that later, again, like a couple minutes later. So the next one is Manson Guitar Works. I talked with very, very kind CEO luthier person. I'm really sorry, I forgot his name. It starts with A, but I don't want to make any assumptions. Sorry. This one that I'm showing, hopefully on a screen, is Nolly's signature, which has his polymaths, which sound great, and it has this side switch. I called it slide instead of push pull. Aside from stupid jokes, he talked about all the features. I'm talking about Nolly, by the way. He talked about all the features. I am moving to the next image here, which has the newer model, a different bridge option. Maybe I should talk about this one. It will give you a lot of information. Apparently with Nolly, Manson Guitar Works, and that really nice person / luthier, tested a lot of materials. They tested a lot of different options, for bridges. Pickup was the same. And also different headstock options to come up with the best sound, best tone, best chugs possible. And Nolly mentioned that about Masterclass, and there were really interesting things. After this experimentation that he did, he learned a lot of stuff, and he talked about that. It was very inspiring. That's why this first one, I'm gonna call it first one, with this Tune-o-matic-ish, I guess. I don't know the official names for most of the bridges. Tune-o-matic, okay. This Tune-o-matic with 6 individual saddles. It's a very well made decision by Nolly after testing a lot of different stuff. And this shallower, I guess, bridge has a different sound and vibe and chug that Nolly probably asked for. So that's why they have this 2 options. When I tested it, I got really nice tones. That slide feature was actually really nice. I never thought about it. When I was thinking about push-pull, I had, certain idea, like, could it be any better? I don't think it's a better option, at least for me, at least for someone like me. But it was kind of an eye-opening experience. And on the next one, you're actually seeing the 7-string with the again, this Tune-o-matic-ish option with a different looking polymath. When he plays it, it was amazing. When I play it in drop C, of course, it was amazing. I think these guitars are pretty good, and you're also seeing the other guitars right now on the screen. I didn't know that they also worked with Muse, and I think the guitar on the left with this sparkles from there. I really don't know too much about this beautiful company. I just, I'm learning about them, and probably without Nolly, having a signature from that company, I would probably never know. Of course, this is kind of my mistake, that not knowing a really nice company which has a really nice guitars. Anyway, I can't talk about too much. The next one is Mayones. Mayonnaise. I'm saying mayonnaise. Maybe it's mayonnaise, but just forgive me if you're watching, mayonnaise people. I tested one really nice guitar. I hope I can find a close-up image for this. Okay, this second one. Okay, that guitar, I think it's a dual. My friend asked me to play it actually, and it was great, but to me, neck felt a little bit more thick, and I didn't like the feeling too much. But the overall, sound wise and the material craftsmanship wise, I think it was a great guitar. But I realized I think not all the duels for me. That was another eye-opening experience. And I actually played the Jakub Zytecki signature, which was amazing. I think it's, in the top 5 among the guitars I tested, because it was just pushing as much as I wanted, but Jakub is not that guy. So I, of course, checked clean, crunchy lead tones. The bridge, actually that trem arm wasn't there because Jakub took it for clinic. I took that photo later, actually. Sorry, before. Anyways, I tested. Apparently there's this very small, I don't know, it's not a button, it's something that, like a switch. And when it's on, it applies compression and saturation on a tone. Apparently it does on a high and low frequencies, not touching the middle area. And it's exciting and filling the tone. When I was, playing it, it felt amazing. And it has this knob that you can, increase the saturation, so you can have really nice guitar being more present, or, just leveling the saturation that you have. It has a lot of options and opportunities, and all of the clean tones felt amazing. I played on a Cortex, but I forgot the presets that I was using. Sorry for that. I don't have the DI and, of course, tone outputs, so you're not gonna be able to hear it anyway, but still, when I testing it, I think it was one of the best guitars that I actually tested. I'm not saying that because I really, really love Jakub and his music. I'm saying it because I really liked it, right? That's obvious. And let's continue with NanoCortex. So NanoCortex is kind of a controversial device at the moment, but I'm really lucky that Kian actually come up with a second video about NanoCortex. It's gonna be around here, you can just check it out. And the gapless switching is something that most of, I think all modelers basically lacking, and this little device can actually do it. And I'm quoting Kian here. Apparently, if you there are a lot of people basically considering or comparing basically this little device to Tonex, and apparently Tonex requires an additional small thing for captures, and this one has it kind of built in. And they say Tonex is cheaper and things like that. But if you add that device for capture and try to kind of match the features, they're actually different devices, really different devices, and they're offering really different stuff. And when I tested, I'm not gonna give you too much stuff because I already put that video somewhere, hopefully in there. Don't forget Yasin. And the thing is, when I was testing it, I told myself, look, this is a mini Cortex has no screen. As you can see, there's an iPad. They put an iPad for controlling the whole thing, and it was actually pretty great. Very easy to navigate through other places. You can use that mini Cortex image, NanoCortex image, mini Cortex, whatever you can, whatever you want to call it, and you can assign those foot switch. And you can easily change the tones. You can have the captures, archetype captures maybe, they say it. And one small thing, Gardiner told me that he was gigging with a really nice guitarist, which has a really nice Marshall amp. And basically with this little device, just on the gig, he just went to the, checking room, sound check time. I don't know when that happened, but anyways, he basically captured the whole thing, and now he has the tone, and it's really nice. He's saying I really captured the essence of that thing in one gig, and I'm having my fun with all the tone that I have. It's kind of pretty amazing. It is amazing. And I also asked about one thing. When I was testing the device, I said that, I don't travel much. I don't go live. This NanoCortex thing is not for me, but I'm kind of interested in having a small device which will give me the ability to have zero latency recording, will have a audio interface, and will work with iPhone or iPad. And this thing does everything. So I'm sorry, but if someone says me, dude, you're traveling a lot now, just, for guitar playing, get your, one of those guitars that I have, get your X guitar and that's iRig and come to the session, or, go to travel. You can practice here, you can play here, you can record here. Now, I think it's a much better option to have something like NanoCortex, and you basically have literally infinite amount of stuff with you to do recording, to do practicing and everything. This infinite word is kind of wrong to a lot of people, because you can carry, a certain amount of certain amount of capture with you. But I basically don't care about that too much, because, I can download and change stuff whenever I want. Again, I'm not a live guy. I'm actually not the target audience, but in the future, when I need something like that, a travel thing, I will definitely get a NanoCortex. And I don't even have a quad cortex yet, but for reamping purposes, having more options, having a screen, having an infinite amount of again, that's the buzzword for most of the people, so okay, I'm not going to use that. Having that blocks, changing the values as I want, also including my mic, and basically having a second interface for zero latency recording, MIDI controlling everything, connecting my, sorry, it's hard to say it like that, but connecting my Cortex to my system, my Mac, my Logic, and also including the Digitech, and also including an expression pedal. Basically, I can have whatever I want. I can reamp as I want, and I'm not quite sure which one will come first to my house, but I'm sure that I won't. I'm sure that it's not gonna disappoint me, because when I tested, the quality, the dynamics, the headroom was amazing, and I'm kind of sure that it's the same as Cortex, because I also tested that. I know how it sounds. I tested that up for some time, and again, the gapless switching option is not present in most of the modelers. Definitely not on the small stuff that you're trying to compare. So it's also MIDI controllable. I'm not selling anything. I'm not a neural artist, so I can just say whatever I want. And I was happy with the experience that I have. That's basically it. I talk too much about NanoCortex now, and how I feel now, so I can continue. The next one, I'm not gonna talk about it with this one, because apparently it was not possible to play these very, very beautiful, looking amazing, feeling amazing, because I have them. PRS Guitars. Apparently they come with this autograph, they say. Maybe the wrong word, but I think it's autograph. Yeah, they also come with an autograph. I don't know, they put it there. I know PRS, so I didn't play them too much. My experience is already in the channel. I'm a PRS artist. I mean, not an official artist, but a pulse artist, but still an artist. So, we're working together, basically. Hope to make it official one day. But the thing is, I don't play any PRS guitars, because having 3 days, and there are over 3,000 guitars, and there are a lot of guitars that I didn't even touch before. and having a custom 24 here, playing a custom 24 here when I have the exact same, with the exact same pickups, kind of very quite similar options, it was not an ideal thing. So I passed this booth, but I know that PRS is amazing, so I just passed it. The next one is Shark Guitars. Shark Guitars they're a Turkish company, and what they have, okay, this image is good. What they have is amazing. Basically, it's a very, very modular guitar that has every single thing kind of possible. You can add, if I'm not mistaken, 4 different pedals in here. As you can imagine, of course, I'm not quite sure if you built your own pedal or whatever, but it's a circuit. It does something. It doesn't have to be that big. Making a pedal is, tone-wise, it's just a circuit. And they actually made these very small circuits, which is actually doing the exact same thing. I don't know, a tube screamer, for example, does. You can actually have that tube screamer like this small, actually even smaller, but let's say this small, and you can actually put it in this guitar, and you can have 4 different pedals, so to say, like this, and you can change those parameters here, and you can come up with your custom tone, custom pedal, custom effects inside. It can be chorus, it can be distortion, it can be overdrive, it can be delay, whatever you can think of. They have that, and it's an amazing thing. You can also change the pickups very, very easily. You can even switch them and phase it, and you can easily, of course, probably after the tuning process, you can easily change your neck to fretless. For example, Cenk Erdoğan, he's an amazing guitarist who does amazing stuff. He's one of those pals in the Shark Guitars, and he demonstrated the possibilities in that guitar. They had an amazing booth with amazing options, and now they're coming up with different options, like different bridges, different necks, fretless and with fret, different stuff. And I honestly really, really like that. I mean, having this modular guitar, it was really heavy. Don't get me wrong, it's not something that you would kind of play 3-4 hours standing, I don't know, even 2 hours, maybe even 1 hour. I mean, considering I'm a bedroom guitarist, probably I wouldn't last even 20. That's, my issue anyways. But if you're kind of sitting, if it's a, jazz gig in New York City, why New York City, I have no idea, but imagine that. If it's a jazz gig, if you don't want too much stuff with you, if you want to rely on your guitar, you can just, pack everything in a very small suitcase, your neck, maybe 2 necks, depending on if you're also playing fretless like Cenk does. You can complete a gig only with 1 guitar and maybe a really nice Cortex, for example. Of course, Cortex also have those options. So this, I forgot to show about the front. Hopefully you will see an image, and hopefully closed up. There are a lot of knobs and buttons, changing a lot of stuff. There are a lot of options that you can change the amount of gain, tone, overdrive, delay, reverb, decay, whatever you can think of. You can do all of that in that guitar. And someone like me cannot utilize this amount of features in 1 guitar, but when the demonstration, this kind of happened when Cenk played it, I said, in a professional hands, it's an amazing tool, 100%. And they are doing an amazing job, and I really support them. Please check them out, because, they're amazing people talking about amazing details. I didn't know a lot of things You know, when I talk about them, yeah, okay, this one does that. This is possible. You know, they really show me another way of thinking when it comes to guitars. And you know, guitar is not a, you know, final instrument. They're still evaluating, you know, from this, you know, headless stuff and Aristides and rough guitars coming with different bases instead of using. Well, there are a lot of, you know, evolution in guitar happening, you know, as I'm talking. And it's kind of interesting to have something like that, and knowing, you know, people from my hometown, my home country, pushing guitars boundaries, you know, as high as possible and as cool as possible. The next one is Strandberg. So I played only one guitar among a lot of, because in the last year I played my Pliny and I tested one 8-string. It was really great, but I had to return it because I didn't need a 8-string guitar, but I actually need one now. So kind of an interesting story. But I was actually trying to wait. Because I was really excited about Connearn Kaminsky's signature Strandberg. And when I played it, I talked about, you know, Selen and Boden is really different. Of course, feeling, aesthetics, tone, you know, we can talk about it like forever. But when I tested it, I was amazed how bare knuckle matches to a Strandberg. If I didn't have my Pliny and I really waited for, you know, this amount of time, I would get this guitar. But, you know, I don't have the budget for it right now. And I don't need a second 6-string Strandberg, so I passed. But one cons for Strandberg, everyone had neural stuff, you know, Cortex or a NanoCortex in their booth. They didn't have that. They had a different type of small modeler which didn't have almost no options. So I didn't dial the good tone. I didn't get the Connearn tone here, but it was very comfortable. The the fretboard, it was looking really roasted. Small joke. It looked really great. The bare knuckle really makes a difference, and I think it's a really great guitar. I know that most of you guys, almost all of you guys, won't have the chance to play this Connearn Kaminsky model because it's a limited run. I'm not quite sure. Maybe they make 60, maybe they make 100. I really don't know. But the important thing is, if you experienced a Selen, and if you're a modern metal player, if you're thinking about this guitar, I can only say just, you know, get it. Don't even think about it. If you want a Strandberg, if you're thinking about this guitar, if you're familiar with Selen, you definitely get this guitar. That being said, I'm extremely happy about my Pliny, how it sounds, what, you know, options it has, which is kind of limited compared to a prog model, but it does every single thing I do. All I need to do is change the setup to drop C sharp, which is another case. But anyway, it is a great guitar, but as a modern metal guy, as a Connearn Kaminsky pal, I would really think about getting this guitar. And if I had the budget, if I didn't, you know, get the Pliny, for the bare knuckles, for a little bit updated, revised version of the bridge, for more options, I would definitely get this guitar. So if you're thinking about it, from my experience, yeah, just buy it. But yeah, it's kind of a limited run, isn't it? So yeah, I don't check the other guitars. I think I got a couple of pictures for you. Yeah, there's this greenish natural, and of course the real natural 8-string, and I think that's a 7-string. And they didn't have a Pliny in the booth. I asked that to actually Ola Strandberg, why you don't have a Pliny here, and he said, I don't know, didn't they come up with this? That was interesting. And stupid me didn't play the button essential. Probably, you know, at least some of you guys didn't play the button essential and you're really wondering about it, and maybe you hope that I was gonna test it, but I didn't. I'm really feeling bad about it. I'm kind of sorry guys. I have no experience about that. So the next one, actually I'm gonna skip that and come back because it's gonna be a little bit longer discussion. The next one is Vola Guitars, which they didn't have a PR Daniel signature, but I can say that I tested the white one. It felt really nice. The neck was not for me, but kind of thin enough for me to, you know, do the moves that I normally do. They had a lot of options. That was interesting. I didn't expect this much options from this guitar. There was this button engaging the middle pickup, and the whole combination, the whole switch combination changes when you have that, you know, when it's pushed. And it was a weird experience at first, but when I, you know, try to do some A/B, I understand the value of it, and I try it on a clean setting most of the time, and I'm kind of happy about it. I would never consider myself as a Vola player, but this guitar actually, you know, told me that, you know, there's a possibility you would definitely try PR Daniel signature if they had it. So yeah, that was about it. Besides that, I didn't test too much Vola because, again, because of the clinics, because of the master classes, I didn't have too much time, and I'm sorry about that. And the next one and last one is it's actually a booth, it's not a, you know, company. It's Very Nice Guitars, which I constantly see because I really like Very Nice Guitars. And apparently they had a lot of guitars, including an Abasi, which I've never tested before. So of course, what I'm gonna say, you know, can I try this? And they also had this Aristides. It was 7th string. It was very expensive, by the way, but that's not the point. It was this satin-ish guitar with a really nice, amazingly looking color and palette and, you know, pattern. And it was actually, can I say that? I think I say that. You know, I already said that, you know, Aristides is the winner of the Guitar Summit, and this guitar is actually the winner of all Guitar Summits. I was extremely comfortable. I like the tones. I put it on a fractal. I plugged in to a fractal. I had nice tones. I had nice feeling. I was comfortable. I never ever hesitated from any move that I made. I didn't experience any issues regarding to, you know, comfortability, how I move, how it, you know, does what it does basically. And it's, you know, 1000 out of 10 basically, which is exactly the same as 10 out of 10. But anyways, besides that, I checked Acacia Guitars, which apparently were also building a Abasi Master Series, and I didn't know that. And they were also really decent, really good, you know, wood chosen well, you know, the other stuff, you know, comfortability, tone, they were also really good. But personally, just personally, my eyes was on that Aristides. And I really like actually the Abasi. I just, you know, I was playing it for the first time, and actually I really liked how, you know, how it feels. It's, again, it could be a little bit thinner to my taste, and I don't like the single cut ideas. I really like double cut stuff. For that reason, I should say that I think this one was what is it, Larada? I wouldn't play a Larada. I would play an Emmy. I think Emmy is the double cut one. I would play an Emmy, you know, whenever I get my hands on. but I don't see myself as an Abasi player, especially, you know, El Arada. But it was comfortable, the tone was great. I felt really, you know, great with the, I was comfortable with the instrument, just not as comfortable as the other guitars that I was talking to. And very nice guitars were apparently real. At first I thought it's kind of wrong, you know, I'm not quite sure if they're gonna just, you know, take the money and send nothing. You know, this amount of very nice guitars cannot, you know, be in the same place, in the same shop. That was my thought. But apparently I was wrong. And apparently they were real. And I really like their booth. They're gonna have a bigger booth hopefully in the next year. And the people I met, they're really amazing people. You know, we just talk about the gear, we just talk about, you know, what they have, we just talk about the tones. They were really, really nice people. And I definitely see myself, hopefully, you know, checking their gear, talking with them. I hopefully have, I really want to have that connection with them, because I really see myself being friends with these nice people. Yeah, check Very Nice Guitars. They're really good. And the last thing for this section is, where is it? Others. You're gonna see that on the screen, and I want to talk about it briefly. There are a lot of guitar companies, there are luthiers, there are master luthiers, you know, they're making the great instruments that are matching, you know, to certain targets, guitar players. And there are some companies that, you know, I were playing once and I'm not doing it again. And it's not because they're bad, it's because, you know, I have different taste on instruments. You know, for example, Ibanez, I really like their stuff, and I'm not playing any because, you know, I have one here that I won in the contest, but apparently I really, you know, I reach PRS, I reach Strandberg. That's what I do. I really like them, and even though Ibanez was great, I didn't see the booth. I saw the players, but I didn't see the booth. And there are also other, you know, luthiers that maybe not so known, at least by me. And there were also, you know, they had really nice guitars that I didn't check. But when I see them, you know, I definitely see myself checking this guitar, but I don't have the time. I need to go to the clinic. I need to go to the masterclass. So I cannot talk about them, unfortunately. But all I can say is it's a great thing to have this amount of, you know, different brands, variety. I really like, you know, having a lot of guitars, like any guitarist. I also really like to have, you know, this amount of options, even though it creates some paralysis in the end. When I make the decision, I know that I found the best one, at least for me, at least for that time period. And I need to check that. This is Cesarini from Italy guitars. I mean, not Sicily. I'm not mixing that. It's Cesarini, I think, guitars. And this luthier was kind of really young. He knows what he talks about. He's almost doing, I think, not almost, we're literally doing everything by himself. In there, you know, custom pickups. He has this similar to other headless brands, but still kind of an originality in there. Original design on the bridge. He has this supplier creating that, you know, making that bridges for him. And he had this really nice idea of having a V scalloped shaped guitar. And some of the guitars were kind of half scalloped. Some of them were full scalloped. I really enjoyed playing those. I really liked that. It was a very interesting experience. I think it's worth to try. It's worth to, you know, consider if, you know, if you see it on the next summit, or if you see it, you know, somewhere over, you know, in Europe or America. I don't know. If you see Cesarini guitars, definitely try that. You know, really nice people, really nice booth, and really nice guitars there. So yeah, This summarize, I don't know how for how long I talked, but this summarized the gear parts, and we'll continue with the people I met or see again. Again, I will go with the order. I don't care, the order is not so important for me. The first one is Buri and Ameya. These are my friends. I really want to talk about them before the artists that we're gonna talk about, because you know the artists, but you don't know these guys. These guys are amazing. Ameya, I met him on a Alter Bridge concert, and we got along well. I can talk about that. And he has this really nice band, Echo Splinter. Just check that out when you finish this video, actually. And Buri, he's a guitarist on Atropos. Also check that. But he's my pal. We also get along really well. We're all doing some gent modern metal stuff, and it was really nice to have them in the Guitar Summit. We had this really nice discussion together about the guitars, and in the concerts we're also together. So it was really nice to have them and meet some other people in the summit. So let's continue with Buster. Buster was really tall. I mean, it's not a tall joke, of course. Yeah, it's a tall joke. And I asked a couple of questions regarding mixing, and he's a really, really nice guy. He's just, it's like him for years. But at the same time, he's kind of, stranger, because, he's something I was kind of inspired by. Not in the musical context, because I don't have this profession over Thal yet. But at the same time, when I check his mix videos from URM Academy, I'm learning new stuff that I actually I'm stealing those ideas. I also told that to him. And it was a really nice experience to meet him. Next person is Jakub. Jakub is an amazing guy. I mean, he was really humble. He's another friend that you're kind of reaching when you want to have that nerd discussions. And he was really nice to me and everyone else in the clinic. He came up with a really nice answer. It was from him. You can just understand that right away. And I'm really happy to be in his clinic. And actually, I'm really proud to ask like 7-8 questions. At most, we had probably 10 or 12 questions, and I literally asked almost all of them. But anyway, the next person is John Connearn. He's an amazing guy. I mostly know him from, of course, Neural DSP stuff and Anderton's videos. And he's an amazing guitar player. He plays a lot of different genres with ease. He definitely has the control over the whole instrument. His tones and tonality is great. His phrasing is great. I really like, seeing that guy playing guitar, talking about tones. I'm really happy to, see him this year as well. I saw him last year, and we just, very quickly had a small chat. And yeah, that's kind of it. And he's really tall too. But I'm not quite sure how tall he is, but that's another question. Next person is Joshua. He also, we kind of met last year in a guitar summit. And I had this idea of no one's gonna, remember me after 1 year. He just came up to me and said, dude, how are you? What are you doing? Welcome to the booth. Let's get you a guitar, and if you want to check the NanoCortex, just right away. And we had this really nice tone discussion. We talked about the NanoCortex, we talked about Quad Cortex, we talked about captures quality, captures variety, and how we can use it to our advantage, at least to my advantage. And it was a great discussion. He's a really, really nice guy, and it was a really nice thing to see him, and we just got a really nice picture together. Next person is Justin Hombach. He's a great guy. He's one of the most scientific guys when it comes to guitar techniques, and he was here for only Friday, and he left on Saturday morning for Alkaloid concert. And I just, saw him in a story that he, came to the summit. And I just said, dude, where are you? I'm just coming down. And again, I saw him. It was a great experience. And, he's really humble. You're asking questions and you're doing this nerd discussions about technique and all. I am one of the guys that following Zeno speed picking. I talk about in my early videos that I had this picking and hand positioning issue, which I'm slowly actually fixing, and I'm really leaving that arm picking days for this. I'm forgetting in English. This kind of picking, basically. So yeah, we had this discussion about how I progressed. We talk about some details about what's am I doing, how I'm using the speed picking basically. And yeah, that was about it. And we just take a picture. I mean, there are a lot of people knows Justin, so I have, of course, very small amount of to ask these things. So that was all. But I'm really happy that I have Justin Hombach. I see him, I see what it does. Last year we talked literally like an hour about what is his technique analysis process when it comes to understanding what he's doing in guitar, what he's analyzing on all other players, and he works differently. And it's no wonder that he's getting better and better monthly, weekly, yearly. I really admire what kind of guitarist he is, what kind of really nice person he is. And I like Justin. I just want to talk about that because it's this is my kind of fourth or fifth video, and I was actually planning to come up with a video where I talk about the people, my friends or my kind of teachers online that I have. Who am I following? Who am I kind of inspired by? I will still make that video happen sometime, hopefully in the future, but Justin is one of them, and I just want to talk about seriously. And the next person is Kristian Kohle after the masterclass. I mean, he's a great guy. Learned a lot from him in the masterclass, but also in the videos. We have very small moment. We had very small moment with Matteo to have this really nice selfie. He's an amazing player. I just talked about that in the previous sections, so you already know that. We have really nice selfie after masterclass with Nolly. I saw him too much. Hopefully he saw me too much. He was, he's a really nice guy. He's also really humble, asking the questions, having a really nice discussion. He's the nerd that you want to have in your life. If you're really, interested in this kind of stuff as a guitar player and producer or mixer, whatever. It was a really nice experience. The next person is Ola Strandberg. He was in the booth and I was really happy to see him. We talk about the Plini that I have. We talk about the Plini's feature. I mean, I'm talking about the guitar, of course, not the Plini's feature. We know that it hopefully is going to be great. We talk about the guitars. We talk about Connearn Kaminsky signature, and I just, had a really nice selfie with him. And the next person is Nilson. And I'm not gonna lie, I heard about scar symmetry like 2 times from a really passionate friends. They both play Strandberg. And Per is kind of a mystery to me. I know how good he is because of the Strandberg interview videos, but when I see him, I couldn't say anything. I probably, said very stupid things, but he was really nice. And I'm really happy to see him. That's all I'm gonna say because I just want to have a selfie for the future, for my Scar Symmetry fan days. Just I want to have that. But yeah, it was really great. The next person is Felix, and like 10 years ago, I had this moment where I didn't know what I'm doing at all. And, at that time, I didn't have too much thing going on. I had only one very, small 15-watt Marshall amp, an Ibanez, a couple of picks that I didn't even choose, by knowing how to choose a pick. I didn't know what I'm doing, basically. And I was thinking if I, should just, stop it. I knew a couple of Metallica stuff, solos and whatnot. I was thinking that, it's going somewhere, but I don't know. And I really either need to have a teacher or maybe I'm not up for it. And then he teach me, I hope he was my teacher, but no. I kind of randomly, so thanks to YouTube algorithms, so one of the, I think, Little Wing cover from Felix, and I literally watched that 5, 6, 7, 8, I don't know how many times over, and I was literally obsessed how he's singing, how he's playing, with the energy that he had in live situations. And it actually brought me back, and that's why I actually owe this guy a lot. For the next year, after seeing that video, I was obsessively checking, Felix stuff, and apparently at that time I didn't have this mindset for analyzing other players too much. So I didn't, get too much idea, but I got all the motivation for that 1 year just from this guy and Steve Y, if I remember correctly. And yeah, for that, we talked very small amounts, a couple of minutes, and it was really important for me to see him, and I was really one of the happiest guys for that 2-3 minutes. Yeah, it is one of the stories that I just, have the chance to talk about it. It's interesting. The next person is Raoul. You know him as Chili Toy on socials, mostly Instagram probably. He's, I'm not joking, literally the best compositor and musician I know in these platforms. And I really like everything he does because he has this very unique understanding on music, and he really is able to think and dream different genres blending together, coming up with really nice melodies and counter melodies that attract each other, work well, and he is really good with also production side of things. And I was kind of following him for years, and I never ever thought that I'm gonna meet the guy. And he's very thoughtful man. I don't know why I said man, sorry. I really don't know, what is the essence, soul, he has, but he's really, really thoughtful. It was right after the Nolly Masterclass, and we met, we talked very small amounts, we talked about this Nolly Masterclass thing, and when I asked for a selfie, I kind of misphrased a little, and he actually got his backpack. I have this he had this I'm losing stuff, video camera, or maybe photograph camera basically. Yeah, I don't know why I lost that word. Anyways, he had this camera, he just setting that up, and he actually thought that I'm asking from him to take a photo with me and Nolly. But no, dude, Raoul, you are the nicest soul in the world. You are really, really nice. person, if you're watching this, of course. If not, I'm just talking about you, basically. He's, so good. And after, we take the selfie, I had to leave, but I really wanted to have this, really nice discussion about all the things, gear nerds kind of talk. That would be kind of interesting, but it wasn't possible because I was very hungry. I know it sounds like a stupid argument, but it's not, because I basically throughout the summit I basically slept like 5 hours, if not less, and I was everywhere. I was at clinics, masterclasses, checking guitars on the other floor, and for that reason I was kind of hungry. So anyways, we didn't have the time, but if you don't know Raoul, just check him out. He's one of the nicest and best compositors out there in socials, and once you check one composition, you will just binge it forever until you got the bottom of the pit. It's not pit, but bottom of the Instagram scrolling thing. And yeah, okay, I talk too much. When it's someone you really like, you just talk forever, right? That's why. The next people, actually, I'm not gonna say person, it's people. It's Ville and Ilmari. I hope I'm not butchering, by the way, the names. They are really cool guys. Of course, we didn't have time. Again, it was this hungry moment, but I'm following him for some time. I had small discussions with them on Instagram, but we never, of course, met. I think they were both there for 3 days, but we didn't have too much time. Actually, I had a very small discussion with Ville. It was really nice. Yeah, it's all about the summit and all. But if you don't know these guys, these are literally riff lords, and you should check them out for a lot of inspiration. And if you don't know, I think you're not using Instagram. If you're using Instagram, and if you're a modern metal or modern guitar guy, and if you don't know them, it's kind of interesting, for me at least. So the last people, it's Mike Dawes, amazing player, amazing person, and Jack Gardiner. I already talked about them. Why did I forget? And of course, Jack Gardiner. We just had a really nice selfie. I just dived in their discussion, and they're amazing people. We had all the, we didn't have all the fun. We had fun for a couple of minutes, basically. But, talking to them was amazing. They're literally world-class guitar players, virtuosos, whatever you can say. Just, virtuoso, I think, is a good thing to say here. They're amazing people, and I really feel good having a really nice picture with them, basically. So that summarized, I talk a lot, I know, but we have one thing left, which is the concerts, and after that I'm gonna leave you. But the Guitar Summit is, as you can see and hear from me, it was a very dense experience. So I will talk about what I'm thinking. Let's continue with the concerts. I actually changed my phone because it's just, battery is dead. So hopefully there won't be any quality differences, but if there is, it's because of that, sorry. Next one is concerts. There are actually 3 days, all concerts, but Friday and Saturday is the most important one. For Sunday, Heavy Zaurus always is going live. I don't even know what they play, but I think it's kind of very different than I would listen. So yeah, I attended Friday and Saturday concerts, so I'm gonna talk about that. On Friday, we started with Mike Dawes, which is an amazing world-class musician. I really like what he does. He also played a Sleep Token tune. I loved and adored it, and I don't know how he is actually doing this, basically. After that, we had Tommy Emmanuel, another world-class player, which is playing in a way that I will never ever understand. And they actually played a couple tunes together, and I realized that, the way I'm doing this whole thing is much more different. And I think if I ever, start to have that kind of experience, playing a different guitar, doing this live stuff, coming up with very interesting things like Mike and Mike Dawes and Tommy Emmanuel do. If I ever do that again, I think I will have a different understanding. It will change my perspective completely. Even seeing them live changed my perspective a little bit. So yeah, the next one is actually the Jared James Nichols concert, and there were guests: Matteo Mancuso, Andy Wood, Phil X, Thomas Bluck. Andy Wood had the best solos in my opinion, and Phil X really killed it, and the whole concert was amazing. And Matteo Mancuso again really played well and very unique in my opinion. And that concert was really nice. And on Saturday we actually started with Matteo Mancuso. I mean, of course there are some players, there are some live stuff happened, but I was somewhere else doing something else, so I couldn't attend it to them. But I was there for the Matteo Mancuso concert. It was amazing. I really liked. I'm already kind of familiar with a couple of tunes, so I was really happy to listen to them live. And after that, there was a Greg Koch concert. Amazing player, and they played amazing. And there were again guests, which was kind of interesting because again we had Andy Wood, amazing guitar player. We had Thomas Bluck, amazing guitar player. We had Frederick Ackerson. I think that's how you pronounce. Sorry, it's Frederick from Opeth. I should call it that way because I don't want to butcher the name. And Per Nilson was there as a guest, and if I remember correctly, Matteo also joined for one piece. Not sure. And we also had Phil X again. My experience for Saturday's concert was Per Nilsson's 2 improvised solo on this bluesy but a little bit fast in context Greg Koch songs or sections, so to say. He applied so many, hopefully, if I guess correct, theoretical stuff. I was blown away. I have no idea what he played, but it sounded really great, and I didn't know that a modern player who is doing a lot of metal stuff can play like this. It gave me a very different perspective. I always think that, of course you can be a virtuoso and play different genres, but playing like that or applying your knowledge, your theory on a very different context, I wasn't kind of expecting that. It's like, it's an endless ocean and you can go as far as you can, but there will be always more stuff that you need to figure out. And there will, every single day someone comes with a very different technique, very different phrasing, very different ideas, and you say, is that really possible? Who comes up with this stuff, right? And they do. And Per Nilsson with that solos, made me feel like that, basically. So yeah, and on the next one I will talk about what I'm thinking about the whole event. These will be the last words of our Guitar Summit. I'm kind of feeling bad about not making something like this for last year, because I had a very good experience on last year as well. I had a different, I met different artists, I talked different people, or same, like Nolly, Joshua, they were kind of there last year as well, and hopefully they will be there next year as well. But I want to talk about the whole experience. So it's a 3 days event. My friend actually, Buri, told me that, how the hell these 3 days will pass. But it's actually passed like an instant. I didn't even visit the second floor. There are a lot of luthiers, acoustic and classic based instruments there. True Temperament was there last year. I'm not quite sure about this year. I didn't see them. And I basically didn't even see half of the guitars there. And of course, I attended, 7 different clinics. I was in a masterclass for 4.5 hours, and basically, I really don't have time to check all the guitars. And I think it's impossible to do that. But personally, I had this know-how, knowledge, I gathered a big amount of knowledge, know-how from world-class players. I asked hopefully the right questions to improve myself, come up as a better musician, come up as a better producer, a better mix engineer. Of course, not as good as a professional world-class someone like Nolly, but it's a 1% thing. You get 1% better, maybe every day, maybe every week, at your craft. If it's production, it's production. If it's guitar, it's guitar. If it's mixing, it's mixing. And in the end, there are 2 feelings that I had in there. One, a small amount of depression, because I really don't know my place in this big world. I'm not talking about earth and people. I'm talking about music and musicians. And when I check those people, when I go to those clinics, when I check how people are playing their instruments in different styles and different phrasings and all, I basically judged myself. Of course, comparison is a thief of joy, but at the same time, when I think about it, and when I, of course, saw those people, playing like that, talking like that, very good players were there. They have infinite basic amount of knowledge to talk about all the nerd stuff that I was wondering. And the second feeling was the hope. I talked with some guitarists and actually booths and companies that I will kind of keep it a little bit of secret. I hope you don't mind. And in my discussions about tone and gearing guitars and what I'm actually doing on social media, what I'm creating as a value, as a sonic experience, so to say. And I was basically judging my music career for a long time, and this authenticity, this being free felt good. And even though I am kind of depressed, as I mentioned, that was the first feeling, at the same time I really hopeful and inspired. I really came back very inspired. I really think that I will do my best, of course, hopefully for the rest of my life. That's what I hope. I'm incredibly grateful with my life, with my wife, with my friends, with my family, and I'm in a good position to talk about these things. I'm really inspired to push my music, wherever it goes, basically, until hopefully until I die. Not hopefully I die, until I die. and hopefully my life will be full of music, full of love. And I am really thinking this guitar summit give me an inspiration that I would never ever have by watching YouTube videos, either of those events or anything else. And it's also a really great opportunity to see those people. You know, sometimes you don't have the chance to ask that question, or ask that question in a way that they would, you know, answer right away. But when you were with them, of course, there was a lot of starstruck, but at the same time, I, you know, gathered my courage, talk with people, talk with, you know, peripheral fans there. You know, from the merch you can understand, you know, who's playing what or who's listening what. And I had this talks, discussions. I met really nice people. I gave my let me grab that, sorry, I gave my signature pick, which is really, again, also this year a lot of people said they're gonna steal the idea. I already made a video about it if you want to check that out. There are already people who officially, I gave the permission and talked about it, but there are already some people that stole that idea. So I think it was good, successful, inspiring, and I'm really happy to have an event like this. I was waiting for it since the last year. It actually, you know, ended on 29 September last year as well. And when I was going back in a train, I was already thinking about this year. I didn't finish half of the things that I was planned. There was no time. But at the same time, the amount of knowledge I gained from this event is immense. And I will hopefully never forget what happened in these 3 days. The friendships started, the guitars I played, the people I talked, and hopefully see you next year. Again, me talking in front of camera. I'm not quite sure if I will be a real vlogger in, you know, sometime next year. So it's gonna be kind of same setup, maybe a smaller video. I know I talk too much, and I know maybe not too many people will watch this, but still, it's a diary. It's my experience about those 3 days that hopefully will change my music life like it did last year. Thank you so much if you really watched this far. It's really amazing, and why? I would ask. But yeah, still, I mean, if you like this video, if you like those sections, I'm gonna put timestamps, of course. And if you are really watching the outro, all I can ask from you is actually to, you know, sub and, you know, subscribe and turn on that notification bell. There won't be any music behind. It will be just me talking. It will be a very, very raw video. I hope you understand that I am not using any script for this video, because it was immense, dense knowledge, you know, happened in 3 days. It was impossible for me to summarize this even with a script. So this video is like a bit different from the other ones. So yeah, hopefully see you on the next one, and take care.